Great.
And start the welcomes. Guys, great day today. This is our third in the series, like I had mentioned earlier with Jason Savage. And you know, what we did was we intended, I mean, everybody's doing the webinars, as we know. Thank you guys so much for attending as consistently as you guys have. Today, we've got a bunch of people on there, yesterday as well. So it's still as strong as ever. Going forward, you know, I'm Gary Usher from Volutone. Good to see you guys. But I'm also in charge of the Snap AV Locals webinar series. So that's AllNet, it is MRI, it's Custom Plus. So I welcome all dealers across the nation. Look forward for the next 6 to 8 weeks. I've got a whole stack of vendors coming your way. I'm also changing up the times a bit. You guys can hit me on a side note. I'm doing East Coast times at like 5 p.m. for you guys. Don't know if that's gonna do better, but the fact is everybody's busier. So that's kind of why I've changed them. I also throw a morning class in there too. So tomorrow I'm doing Oversee. So please join that class. That's the new and improved. There's a lot of new features there that Derek and I are gonna be going over. I'm pulling in RTI class. I'm pulling in Yamaha commercial, QSC commercial. So there's a whole myriad of not only categories, but killer trainers out there. Not as good as Jason Savage, though. Gotta mention that. But
Wow.
no, well worth your hours. So we'll get started here, but I just wanted to mention that this is being recorded now. And Jason's slide deck will be included in my email at 4 p.m. today to all attendees, actually all registered dealers. Anybody that registered today, they couldn't make it, they're gonna get my email a little bit later on. So look for that. I do have a survey in there. Jason's got a survey. He'll talk to you about that a little bit. But let's stay tight on this. Let's communicate with Jason. Listen, a ton of panels as far as Volutone is concerned are hitting my docks. I mean, major. So I'm so glad we were able to bring the inventory in. Let's talk about the new models. Let's dive deep. Let's really hold this guy accountable. Because not only can he balance himself in a webinar like this, but he can do a kick flip on a skateboard right now that we all can.
Oh, it's a good thing that you can't see me right now, because you'd watch me fall through the garage door probably or something. I'm an old man, Gary. You're writing big checks for me, buddy.
I know, yeah, but
I'm not Tony Hawk. I'm not Tony Hawk, you know.
So that's what I'm saying. This guy's jack of all trades. All right, one of my best friends in the industry. I got to give it all up. Let's do a virtual round of applause for Mr. Jason Savage, Sony guy. Let's get it started.
Thank you very much. So Gary, if you want to click on my video and click on the ... to spotlight my video for everybody.
Gotcha.
So
there you go.
There we go. Perfect. Okay, so this is my opportunity here to fly into frame, right? Is that how Christopher Reeve does it? I'm not sure. Well, I mean, I guess Christopher Reeve's not doing anything anymore, but that's a story for another day.
There are other Supermans though.
Right? I can't think of the new guy. So I'm Christopher Reeve. I guess I'm showing my age. So, anyways, welcome to the Sony and Snap AV 2020 Virtual Line Show. Again, my name is Jason Savage. I'm the Western Regional Technical Trainer for Sony Custom Install and Premium Products, which is basically I'm the West Coast CI guy. But depending on where you are in the country, you may know my counterparts, Andrew Turner, Carlos Giraldo, or maybe even Ken Johnson. So we've got a team of guys that work just for the CI group that do nothing but support dealers like you, whether it's direct guys or people that buy through distributors like Snap AV. So in this presentation, we're going to cover kind of the entire playing field, if you will. Please feel free to throw your questions up in the chat. I'm going to do my best to try to get through this information, and so that we can, kind of get to those answers. I will take pauses as we go through this to try to, pay attention to what's happening in the chat, because I'm trying to pay attention to what's happening here with the presentation. So without any further ado, again, this is the part where I was supposed to fly into screen, but Sony Electronics is headquartered actually here in California, in San Diego, just outside of San Diego and Rancho Bernardo. So the powers that be that have really kind of come together with the industry, the CI channel specifically, are all based here in San Diego. So the people that we're talking to, the ideas and the feedback that you guys give us go right here and gets transmitted back to Tokyo. So when you hear questions about surveys or you hear requests like that from us, this is where it's going, because this is really the filter and the aggregator for all of that feedback and all of that data. So also, I put phone numbers up in the chat. Our guys that do the install support are also based here in this office. So this is my opportunity to make kind of a silly joke, but also kind of take an opportunity to play around with some of the technology that we've been provided here. So we've got a forecast for cool new electronics that'll be moving in across the country here, really starting from now, going on throughout the calendar year. So we've got flat panel TVs, of course, in LED and OLED. We've got front projector products as well as audio products. So we've got a complete weather system, a storm of killer electronics available to you guys out there for your systems, and for for customers that are probably doing upgrades right now based on the current situation. We've got a really strong offering of products to be able to fill those needs. So moving into the 2020 TV introduction, obviously this is the quarantine edition. I want to do a brief overview of the products that we have in our lineup, just so we can cover those bases. And of course, remind you guys of what we have in the barn available for your systems out there. Currently, these are the these are the AVR products that we have available for the CI channel. So really, we're working on the new products currently right now. So we've got a survey that you may have seen circulated out there, that if you want to take that 10 or 15 minutes that it takes to fill it out, and I don't even think it takes 15 minutes, it's probably more like 5 to 10, if that, to give us your feedback on what you think a new Sony AVR should look like. We'd really love to get your feedback on that. But if you've never seen a Sony ES AVR before, we'll just kind of do some quick cliff notes here. We've had them in the channel since 2015. So again, that's why we're really looking for your feedback on the next gen. We've really got them that range from what we would call the skybox seats up here at $2,200 retail with the 5000 ES. And we go all the way down here starting at $700 retail for the 810 ES. If you're trying to do a true two-zone system, you really should be shopping or selling from the 1100 ES on up. All Sony ES AVRs have a 5-year warranty on them. They all support the latest and greatest audio codecs like Dolby Atmos, DTSX, that sort of stuff. They're also going to support 4K HDR, so your Dolby Visions, your hybrid log gammas, and your HDR10s. All of those, all those codecs are supported by this product. So, it's really not like a concession or oh well, this is just the last alternative we have out there. Solid AV switching, solid power, solid performance. So again, and at the end of the day, also solid margins. I think buying this over the counter, it's a 50-point piece. So again, strong business case for going with Sony audio products. But we're really looking for your feedback on the next gen, guys. So if you see that survey, please take that couple of minutes to fill that out for me. Moving into our projector product. Again, these are products that have been out on the market for a while, so we're not going super deep here either. We should hopefully have some new models brought to the projector lineup this year. But we want to talk a little bit about what we have in our home theater lineup. So really, we've got everything covered from, again, the skybox seats up at $60,000 with the VW 5000 ES. Great optics with the 995 ES and a little bit smaller chassis. So we're at $60,000 here, $35,000 here for the 995 ES. We've got a great promo right now on VZ1000. So if you have customers that are looking to maybe do a 120-inch screen, they'd love to do a 2-piece projection system, but they just don't have the room or don't have the ability to hang a projector from the ceiling, something like that. VZ1000 would get them a 120-inch screen at only 10 inches away from the wall. So great custom opportunity here. And also there's a great promo on this piece right now. We're doing this at $15,000 retail, which represents a $10,000 discount. So really, really strong opportunity there for customers that might be looking for something like that. Our first step into the laser with 885 ES. So the other projectors below this are lamp-based, but 885 ES is really the start of our laser lineup. So solid performance, 20,000 hour light engine life, all those good things that go along with the kind of product is really what we're dealing with here. And then when we talk about the entry-level part of our lineup, this used to be, the second from the best, 695 here in our lamp-based lineup, but now obviously we're just down to these 2 models. So 695ES kind of gives you more of that higher end performance capability and feature set at a really cool new price point, $8,000 retail. And then here with the 295ES, we're getting true 4K, 3D, HDR, all the bells and whistles, three chip color system, all for $5,000 retail. So again, we know that there's a lot of customers out there that are doing upgrades because they're looking at a little bit of time, probably a little bit more time here at home, probably than they would have in the last previous few months prior to this. So we want to make sure that you guys are aware of the tools that you have available for customers that are looking to do upgrades, looking to do new systems, because they're going to be spending all that time at home. So moving into some news for 2020, professional flat panels and business projectors are making their way into the custom install channel. So this product has always been out there, always been available, but you really haven't been able to get support for this product either from your local distributor, or if you called one of the CI reps in the territory, probably just maybe answer your questions or try to hook you up with the pro guy. So this product channel is making its way into the CI space. So that means that we're able to share that information with you. We actually have training that we're doing about the pro products here, and we'll talk a little bit about what that means. But just to summarize here, Bravia Pro panels, so the business grade flat panels, FWD and BZ are available through your local distributor. Also business grade projectors, as well as PTZ cameras. So if you guys have any customers that are looking to do really high quality PTZ type of monitoring in a business or in a customer's home, or even for a studio production, those are the kinds of cameras that we'll have available to you as well. So taking a look here at business business projectors, just want to be clear on what these are and what these aren't. These are really intended for areas where you need super high brightness, but you don't need 4K. So all of our business grade projectors are WUXGA, so they're extremely high resolution, but they do not support 4K. So if you're thinking, oh wow, I'd love to put that in a theater because it's super duper bright, just be aware that you're going to have a limitation when it comes to the devices that you can connect to it. If you wanted to do one of these as a replacement for a large flat panel with the kind of high light output that these have, definitely a viable alternative to just a traditional flat panel stuck on the wall. So definitely something to keep your eyes out for. Sony was the first manufacturer to bring laser to the business projector market back in 2013. Now looking ahead or into the current days on the calendar in 2020, our entire business projector lineup is all laser based, so no lamp based projectors anymore in the business channel. And when you look at our lineup for business projectors, we really have most of the models here are going to be focused on advanced install. So lots of different lens options, that sort of thing. We only really have two models that kind of fit into that basic install or compact space. So we got and they all kind of start at 5,000 lumens too. So they're all extremely bright. So even down here in our compact portable, you could have a 120-inch screen in a high ambient light environment and still be getting like 300 nit off of the wall. So really, really powerful capabilities. Just to be clear, we are going to be doing pro trainings actually starting tomorrow. So if you haven't seen the links through your local distributor, please hit them up. I think Gary will probably include those links as well with the meeting notes from today. But starting tomorrow through next week into the following, we'll be doing professional sales and technical trainings on what the pro products mean. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot more time on it here. Just want to make sure that we point that out and we talk about the opportunities that are afforded to you by having this product available and supported by our team. Included, of course, with the other half of the quotient here between the pro products is Bravia flat panels. And really these devices are panels that are targeted at the corporate, education, or retail space. There are key models in this lineup that are dedicated for digital signage. We also have FWD models that are essentially the consumer equivalent. They just cost a lot more because they have an extended warranty and they have some other things that go along with it. So again, other opportunities that we'll talk about in the pro trainings. But to go along with that, we're going to have, we do have flat panels available that range from 43-inch sizes all the way up to 85, with touchscreen overlays available from 55 up to 85. And that's really kind of all I've got to talk about with the Pro products. You know, it's a little bit of a teaser, I know, and I know there's probably a lot of questions about what makes a Pro product a Pro piece versus a consumer. Check out those links, register, and attend some of the sales sessions that we'll be doing here over the coming weeks. Not only myself, but also Andrew Turner and Carlos Geraldo in your local markets will also be doing those as well. So if you're on East Coast time and you don't want to wait until noon or later to join one of my sessions, check out what the guys out east are doing with the Pro trainings. Stumbling over myself here. I'm trying to remember who everybody is on the playing field nationally. So taking a look here at the 2020 picture quality step-up chart, we'll get into the consumer models because these are the pieces that you're going to be dealing with most frequently, because quite frankly, they're the ones that are targeted to the consumer market. One thing that I want to point out here before we get started, and it's going to be a kind of a theme throughout this session, is what makes a Sony TV. And really, we're talking about some basic ingredients here. In the case of Sony, it means that you're going to get at minimum an X1 processor. You're going to get some form of motion compensation built into the panel, and you're going to get a wide color gamut display. So at the base level, X1 wide color gamut motion compensation. When we look at what X1 does for us, again, in its basic form, X1 processor is going to render the images that you get on screen in the proper resolution. Processing is king these days because we get content from so many different places, right? You get it 720p from YouTube, 1080i from your cable box, you know, wherever you're getting different, you know, levels or different qualities of streaming content from. The processor has to make sure that you're rendering everything, regardless of input resolution, in 4K. So X1 processors are known and touted as some of the best, if not the best in the industry. So we can take those lower quality input signals and scale them up to 4K properly. When it comes to 4K content, obviously we can use our built-in reference database so that we can actually look at the images that are coming in and again, render them properly on screen. All Sony displays are wide color gamut this year, which means they all feature Triluminos Display. So at minimum, they'll all support HDR10. So when you add our consumer pedigree to our professional technology pedigree, it really adds up to what makes a Sony TV. And when we get asked about how come Sony doesn't do quantum dots, or if you're confused about what quantum dots means versus what Triluminos means, Sony has been doing quantum dots, Sony speak, we call it Triluminos, since 2013. We were the first manufacturer to bring this technology to the market. Sony just calls it something different because technically speaking, quantum dots have cadmium in them, which is toxic, which is not something that you want in your house. I'm not saying that anybody else that makes quantum dot things is putting poisonous technology into a customer's home either, but I just wanted to be clear about the fact that we do offer wide color gamut technology, and we call it Triluminos. Motion Flow XR240 is the base level motion compensation that you'll get. And again, even in our entry level TVs, this technology is based on how we capture fast motion in sporting events and that sort of stuff. So this actually comes from our broadcast capture technology. And we have all those things cooked into even our very most basic TV in our lineup, the X750H. When simple is better really kind of hammers it home. So again, you're really going to get just the basic ingredients of what makes a Sony TV with 750H. So a great looking TV set from the front. Oh, great looking TV set profile wise, but really would want to point out these limitations here. So for my hardcore integrators out there, 750H is probably not the right TV for your larger custom install jobs. Anything that requires control, anything where you really need a snappier UI, that sort of stuff, 750H is none of those things. It's really just a good, solid, basic TV set with the basic ingredients, but it's not going to have any of these other advanced features for custom install. So no rear IR input, no serial control, no IR control, and no monitor-only mode. So again, really intended for the kind of that turn and burn customer, the set it and forget it type, or, you know, just I don't need anything, I just need a TV in this room. 750H would be a great candidate for those options. 750H in summary here, again, basic ingredients, simplified Android TV experience, but you do also get the Google Assistant built in. And when we talk about what the simple Android experience really means, I really kind of qualify this as probably like Android TV 2018, Android TV 2020 available on X800H and above. So, you know, some of the things aren't going to be included. Some of the options are not going to be supported because it's just, again, it's an older feature set, older hardware, and again, just simplified for this application. However, X800H and above, you're going to have the same experience across the lineup. So when we talk about from every TV model on from 750H, this is really where the good stuff starts to happen from a performance perspective, smart TV perspective, et cetera, et cetera. So part of our training today is also going to include a virtual tour of my house. So this is the upstairs guest bathroom. I'm not sure why it's the upstairs guest bathroom. It just seemed like an arbitrary room to pick. But you'll notice it's very austere, minimal furniture, lots of tile. It's very cold, and it's very noisy and bouncy in this room. But X800H is really that TV that kind of gets us into the premium space as far as feature set goes. So big improvements on X800H versus the model that replaces X800G. So again, we moved to that X1 chipset, so we're going to have more power on board for processing, better contrast with the better lighting system on the TV, improved audio, and again, that big step up to Android TV Performance Plus or System on Chip design, which makes this TV 60% faster when it comes to button presses and the smart TV functionality. So when we look at what we get for processing is king, of course. On X800H, it moves us up to the 4K X1 HDR processor. And that's really going to unlock some of the capabilities of HDR that most people expect to find. This processor opens up, again, capabilities in picture quality. It's very intelligent, so it does source analysis, noise reduction, does some dynamic contrast enhancement, and then can render that content properly in HDR. That's a lot of information to process for me to be able to tell you that regardless of where your content comes from, any of these places, and regardless of how that content is spit out from those places, from X800H and up through the lineup, you're going to have support for all of these, for all of these guys, for both of these formats for HDR content out there. When we talk about the design and the build quality of this set, really step up into premium design and build quality. So X800H would be right at home, you know, with a family of TV sets, or, you know, for a more modest prime viewing TV set, great looking TV cosmetically, good looking set from the front. But of course, when we talk about the profile, we talk about the inputs on this TV, we really talk about the business end of the set from the CI perspective. This is really where the good stuff starts to happen. So from X800H and up through the lineup, you're going to get IP control, serial control, rear IR input, as well as the ability to put the TV into pro mode. So here's my opportunity again to go ahead and plug those pro trainings that I'll be doing starting tomorrow. And again, we're doing these all across the country, so take a look for those links to register and attend so we can cover what pro mode means and what all that stuff brings to you guys from the pro side. In summary, X800H, again, step up in terms of processor capability, still a 60 hertz panel, so motion flow XR240, but again, the good basic building blocks of what makes a Sony TV a Sony TV. Improved audio, support for up to 5.1 via ARC. And then when we talk about the smart TV experience, the included apps, etc., I'm going to cover this once, but just know this, that from X800H and up, you're going to get the same smart TV experience through the lineup. So, of course, with Google Assistant built in, you'll be able to say things like, okay, Google, and the TV will prompt, and you can go to an input, you can go to a picture mode, go to an app, etc. We have support for Amazon Alexa. So although we know that we recommend most of our guys try to sell above DIY, Amazon and DIY product have made a pretty strong high road into the CI space. So if your customers are doing this or you're integrating with Alexa, Sony TVs can be added to the Amazon Alexa as a skill. and you'll be able to control it and call up your doorbell, listen to music, etc. And we have support for Apple AirPlay and Apple HomeKit. So I don't have any news on an Apple Plus app for Sony Bravia just yet, but what I can talk about is the things that we do have. And right now, Apple AirPlay and Apple HomeKit are two of the ways that we can support iOS. One thing I also wanted to point out here is in my own home, I have several $1,000s worth of high-end AV equipment that my wife totally bypasses to stream directly to the TV. So I'm sure I'm not on an island by myself in that experience. So there may be some use cases out there. There may be some customers out there that would love to have this functionality. So again, that's why Sony's included it. And then last but not least, all Sony TVs will have a game mode built into them. So we have a model that's in our lineup that is the hardcore gaming TV, but suffice it to say that all Sony TVs have a game mode built into them. And to give you guys an idea of what that does or what that means is input lag is severely reduced in game mode because you turn off all of the processing. So in this example from our friends at Apt Electronics, they did a test with an X800H and they found that they got 123.5 milliseconds of lag with the processing turned on in standard mode versus game mode where you have 9.4 milliseconds. So that adds up to about, I think, 2.5 to 3 frames of video. So not a significant difference in terms of what's happening if you're watching TV or something like that. You're talking about 1/60th of a second, maybe 2/60ths of a second. So a pretty slim margin of time. However, when you're talking about competitive gaming or gaming online, that 1 or 2 frames of advantage could make the difference between getting them before they get you. So I guess from a non-gamer's perspective, this is a great to have for people that really care about gaming. So I mentioned this earlier, but X900H is the TV that we're talking about. And in this room of my house, this is the loft, we'll call it, I guess. And again, very austere, lots of marble, no furniture, but a beautiful TV there highlighted in the middle of the room with that nice cascading light coming in through the window there. X900H is really the first step up into the premium performance of our TV lineup. So X900H and X950 are really strong value propositions, but the X900H is really a workhorse. We'll talk about why and what that means. So first step up in performance that you get with this model is X900H is a 120 hertz panel. So X750 and X800 are both 60 hertz. X900 is your first step into 120 hertz panel realm, which again is a huge step up in performance picture-wise. That extra refresh rate gives the processor more chances to make effects or to do things that improve picture quality. So when we move to X900H above and beyond the things that we get with the step up X1 4K HDR processor, like object-based HDR remastering and contrast enhancer, we also get a technology called precision color mapping. And really what precision color mapping does is it takes that input signal and maximizes it based on the color volume on the screen. So we talk a lot about director's intent, and we talk a lot about putting out what the people that created this content want you to see on a Sony TV. So I've had a few people say, well, with precision color mapping, if you're expanding beyond what the director intends, aren't you coloring the picture? Aren't you changing what they expect the end user to see? And the answer to that question is no, because really what we're doing is taking this finite, narrow little band of color that we might be getting from an input signal and making sure that we're absolutely maximizing every single color point within the given color range. So if somebody expects you to see, a Mad Max dystopian end of the world type of color palette in their movie, that's what you're going to get on screen. If they expect you to see vibrant, beautiful colors, again, that's what you're going to get on scene. So precision color mapping is a huge step up in picture quality performance and color performance versus the rest of the products in our lineup below it, so 750 and X800 below it. Another big step up, of course, is full array local dimming. So we get extended dynamic range, which is really Sony speak for full array local dimming. So we have discrete control of the LEDs behind the panel. so that we can give you that great contrast, great black level without sacrificing the highlights or the bright points on the screen. And with X motion clarity, again, we have a 120 hertz panel, so we've got more chances to alter the picture to make sure that it's as smooth and sharp as possible. So we move away from the conventional dark frame insertion or DFI or BFI, depending on how you want to name it, which would again give us a darker but more blur-free image. This is affectionately renowned in the industry as the soap opera effect. With X motion clarity, we can get away from that. And we use a technique called zone controlled boosting, where we keep the highlighted images on the screen that we want to keep highlighted on screen all the time. And then we darken out or we black out areas that we don't need to have highlighted, so that again, when our eyes and our brain get together and we stitch all of the images that came in through our eyes into our brain into what we perceive as a picture, the image is going to be brighter and more blur free. Also want to make sure that I point out that this is totally customizable to your preference, to the viewer's preference. So quick tech tip here of the day. This isn't a technical training, but if you're asking me what's a great setting for the motion on a Sony TV, I would always say if you use the custom mode and set both of the sliders to minimum, you get all the benefits of sharper text and a little bit better motion without any of the unnatural effects of, like dark frame insertion like you might see, or again, darkening of the image, etc. So really just highlights the text, but keeps all the other stuff looking natural and normal. Move to Netflix calibrated mode, because again, we're kind of on that step up platform. So this feature is only available through the app on the TV. So in order to take advantage of Netflix calibrated mode, you have to use the Netflix app that's native in the Sony TV. However, fire up the app, open up the picture settings, turn on Netflix calibrated mode, and again, you'll have a more cinematic effect, less noise, enhanced black levels, that sort of thing. I don't think that every single bit of content is benefited on Netflix by turning this switch on. Again, my daughter's cooking shows that they like to watch don't look extra cinematic because we turned on Netflix calibrated mode, but it didn't hurt the picture any either. So again, just want to make sure we talk about what this feature is, what it does, and what it isn't as well. And then lastly, we want to talk about this feature because it's something that's come up a couple of times. Why does one TV have it and other TVs in the lineup don't? We can answer that question here, but also want to answer the questions as to exactly what next-gen TV really is. So if we look at ATSC 3.0, and we ask the question, what is next-gen TV? It's a new standard for over-the-air broadcast. This is not, however, federally mandated. This is something that's happening through private financial channels. I've been reading about it in the industry. It's a big deal in South Korea, which is why you see a lot of South Korean manufacturers pushing it and including this feature in their displays. But here in North America, this is not something that's federally mandated, so it's really going to be market demand that drives the adoption of this technology. So one model in our lineup has this TV, or excuse me, one TV in our lineup has this feature. That's X900H. And again, it's going to bring them benefits of 4K HDR over the air, multi-channel audio. I know everybody's really excited about this option here, more targeted advertising. Really excited about that capability. But to give you an example of what ATSC 3.0 broadcast would look like, again, kind of that tiled streaming experience with a live element included in it. There is an internet element to ATSC 3.0, so it's not just all over-the-air broadcast. So a lot of that stuff still to be worked out. Some of the markets, of course, around the country that are early adopters for ATSC 3.0. So depending on where you are in the country, you may see your little red dot targeted there, or you may not. What about if my TV doesn't have this and most of the TVs in the Sony lineup don't? It's really not that big of a deal because there's going to be off-air and tuner boxes that you can get already, as well as more consumer versions coming later this year. But when we talk about custom install, how much more convenient is it to have a box that you can put in a rack, run wires to tie it into your video distribution system, as opposed to pulling wires out to the display, internet out to the display, and trying to backfeed the audio? So we really don't feel like next-gen TV, the tuner built into the TV versus not built into the TV, is really that big of a deal. We just wanted to make sure that we talked about that in this session so that it was clear where Sony was positioned so that every Sony TV is going to be compatible with ATSC 3.0. It's just that X900H is the only model in the lineup that has the tuner built inside of it. Everybody else, you'll be able to connect a box to the TV and get that user experience. So X900H is the first TV in our lineup to see a lot of features for HDMI 2.1 supported. It's the one TV in our lineup in 4K that has obviously the most of them supported. Things like 4K 120, enhanced audio return channel, VRR, and ALLM are all very top of mind these days because, quite frankly, it's a bit of a slow news day lately, other than some of the consistent news reporting that we're getting. So, what's happening in gaming, what's happening in some of these other avenues to distract us, right? Most of the support for HDMI 2.1 and really most of the features of HDMI 2.1 right now are really targeted at one crowd, and that's high-end PC gamers. We'll talk about what that means here shortly. To review what some of the cool features of HDMI 2.1 are, enhanced audio return channel is a big one, and reason being is because it's the one that's the most applicable right now. You can get multi-channel audio from your sources that are connected to a display or apps that are in a TV and output that audio uncompressed and lossless to your audio system. So across the industry, a lot of people see the benefit of enhanced audio return channel. So at minimum, you're going to see support for eARC on every model in our lineup from X900H and up. VRR is variable refresh rate, again, where the TV kind of keeps time with what's happening from the output of the gaming device. This is only available currently right now from high-end PC machines. We know that Microsoft touts that the Xbox One X supports VRR. I haven't seen any titles that are touted or listed as VRR capable. And really, there's probably a bigger root cause to that, and it's because the studios that are creating the games for the consoles don't want VRR. They want to make sure that the games are rendered as sharp and clear as possible. So, maybe if it's an independent or freeware or something like that, you might see this feature supported by that device. But if it's a major studio game, Call of Duty or whatever they are out there, I'm not the gaming expert by any stretch of the imagination. They're going to be locked into either 30p, 24p, 60p max. So VRR really isn't applicable to anybody right now unless they have a machine that's capable of outputting VRR. Auto low latency mode is the same thing, again, where the TV will automatically detect that input signal, switch to the input, and go to the game mode. So you guys may have heard of this kind of feature already with CEC control, or specifically with Sony speak, we call it auto picture mode, where the TV will automatically switch to the game setting when connected to a PlayStation, or automatically switch to the cinema mode when you connect to a Sony Blu-ray player, those sorts of things. So we kind of had versions of that auto switching, auto picture mode capability in the past. It's just that it's not officially the 2.1 version, so I guess we don't count that. But is it a big deal? Absolutely not, because chances are you guys in the custom install space are picking a specific input on the TV, one or two, maybe doing a calibration and using your AVR or some of your audio devices to do some switching. Maybe you simplified it and you've got everything happening in the television, you're just outputting audio. So again, we really don't feel like not having ALLM in all the models in our lineup is a big deal, because we do have that gamer focused piece with X900H, and we have some other models that are positioned above it that have features that X900 doesn't have that warrant better picture quality, et cetera, et cetera. So just to summarize here, who benefits from HDMI 2.1? I think it's pretty clear to see that anybody that's watching movies, streaming, that sort of stuff, sees a benefit with eARC or enhanced audio return channel. But for cable TV viewers, sports viewers, and even casual gamers, pretty limited content out there. It's really those competitive, those high-end gamers that are seeing the most benefit right now from HDMI 2.1. A quick eye chart will list here all of the models that support which features of HDMI 2.1. And you'll notice here again, X900H really here in the wheelhouse. It's that entry upper middle entry level kind of TV set. So we're kind of really here in the middle of our lineup, but we've got a lot of features packed in there. And I think that's priced appropriate and fit out appropriate for people that are probably looking for those things. You know, guys that are gamers that want that bigger screen experience, they may not be able to pony up for an 8K TV. So having that mid-price TV with a lot of features on it be really attractive to customers that are looking for that sort of stuff. X900H is premium design, so I know that was a lot of detour to fill in a little bit of information, but step up here in build quality with X900. Beautiful looking TV set from the front. And of course, profile and business end of this TV, beautiful connectivity. So to summarize here, again, X900H is really that gamer focused model. So we move up to some really step up picture quality features like X1 HDR, 4K HDR processor, full array local dimming. We move up to that 120 hertz refresh rate with Netflix calibrated mode. We get better audio performance and support for Dolby Atmos via the eARC. And again, that full roster of smart TV experience. I also want to make sure that I take a second here to talk about the equivalent Pro model to this. So currently right now in our Pro pieces, we have the BZ35, which would be the equivalent to an X850F. So if you need a large flat panel with a 3-year warranty on it, currently available right now, BZ35F would be that model that you need to be looking for. However, starting, I believe it's late August, probably early part of September, we will start to see the BZ40 come out. If you need a Pro version of this panel, the X900H, BZ40 is going to be your go-to piece. So again, stay tuned or keep your eyes out for those links to the invites to the Pro training sessions where we'll cover all of that stuff starting tomorrow. So here we are upstairs in the master bedroom. There's no furniture. There's some nice trees out the window there. It's very cold up here, but I do have a beautiful TV here positioned again in my room on my marble credenza. X950H really represents the best TV that we have and the best value that we have in a TV set for money anywhere in our lineup. And I say that for a few reasons. And again, when we look at X900 and we see VRR and we see some of those other things that aren't included here, and you go, well, how can you say 950 is better? And I'll say this, it's better. X950 really is better mainly because of this, because the move to the X1 Ultimate processor. So this processor is the best of the best. It's so good that we use it in our OLED sets as well as even our 8K sets. So this is the foundation of our Master Series lineup. So when we talk about the most bang for the buck that you can get in our lineup, X950H really is it, because it's got the same brains and same capabilities as some of our, of our best sets, period, in that more mid-tier chassis, mid-price chassis. So X1 Ultimate processor has the ability to do a technique called dual database processing, where it can look at content in the foreground as well as the background simultaneously and reference a real database of images. So unlike some of our competitors out there that have artificial learning or machine learning, where they're trying to figure out what's happening on screen, Sony actually already has built a database and has been building a database since 2005 that's built into all of our processing chips, where it's a real image database of pictures, shades, animals, textures, hair, you name it, that we can reference in real time, so that at 120 times a second, we can reference our database and make sure that we're rendering the content that's on screen properly. Also, with X1 Ultimate, we have a technique called super bit mapping, so that we can use our techniques and our precision color mapping, etc., to make sure that we're rendering fine color gradients properly. I don't think it's translating very well here in the WebEx, but or excuse me, in the Zoom call. But for me, this looks like a wood grain sky. So maybe you guys have seen that with lower quality content on a high-end panel, or the inverse of that, really high quality fine color gradients on a nice color on a nice panel, and then just the TV can't keep up. So X1 Ultimate gives us super bit mapping so we can avoid that experience. Extended Dynamic Range Pro, which again is Sony speak for our full array local dimming system. X950H has a better full array system than X900. So when we talk about step up features, that's one of them, better backlighting on 950H versus 900H. But this is really the killer one here, is viewing angle. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen LED TVs before, LCD TVs before, and you're sitting right in front of it, and God, that TV looks beautiful. But then you look over at the person that's maybe sitting 2 positions over from you, or maybe a position and a half over from you, and they go, picture on this TV is okay. It looks better from where you're sitting. So that's really what we're talking about here, is that viewing angle. So 950H has a technology and a feature called X wide angle that's available on screen sizes from 55 up to 85 that will maintain viewing angle on an LED TV set regardless of where you're sitting at pretty much in the room. So you get away from the loss of color and contrast that you might find with a standard LED TV set. When you move up to X950H, you're going to have, again, that X wide angle panel, so you'll be able to see all the color and contrast from virtually any viewing angle to the display. This technology, or this panel, is really what I would recommend in a place where you would maybe want to put an OLED TV set, but the ambient light in the room is too high, the TV kind of disappears, it gets washed out. LED TV sets are always the best choice to put in those high ambient light environments because of the light output. And if you need viewing angle, X950H is the right model in our lineup to pick for that. 950H is the first TV in our lineup that is IMAX Enhanced certified, which is really just kind of a different version, I would say, to draw a comparison to like THX certification back in the day. Sony TVs, or 950H here, meets the criteria for the folks at IMAX for the image and the proper scale, and to be able to output the audio from their content. And you can get IMAX Enhanced content from 4K Blu-ray, the Fandango Now streaming service, or the Privilege 4K app, which is a free app that you can get from Sony on the Android App Store. Download it, there's free content there. If you sign up for the bonus offer, that's an app on the TV set, they'll send you a code so you can get some additional downloads or additional content from the Privilege 4K app for demos. 950H has a remote, of course it comes with a remote, but it has a microphone built into the remote that can optimize the audio from the TV to the room. So I can speak to this firsthand. I have a 950H out here in my studio space, and I ran the microphone optimization because I've got a lot of concrete out here. Made a dramatic difference in the audio performance of the TV set. Of course, this is only available to you guys if you're using the audio system in the TV. But if you're putting a 55 or 65 950 in a bedroom or something like that, and you're using the speakers in the TV, definitely a performance benefit turning that feature on and running the microphone. Premium design on 950H. So again, 2 different mounting options here for the feet. So the 55, 65, and 75 are going to have 2 different mounting options for where you can position the feet. 49 and 85 only have 1 mounting option there. But since we typically hang TVs on the wall in North America, hopefully this mounting options or the feet options won't be a barrier for anybody out there. So great looking TV set from the front, of course. Nice looking TV set from the profile side, as well as the inputs there. So all the connectivity you'd expect to find. And again, just to summarize here, what makes this the best TV for the money in our lineup? Again, you're going to get the top shelf processing, X wide angle, the best certifications out there in the market, improved audio support for multi-channel audio via eARC, and again, that great smart TV experience that I've already talked about. And now we move to my living room, which I call the Fjord room. So if I could afford a house like this with windows like that, I probably wouldn't be doing webinars right now, but maybe I would be. Maybe the webinar game is going to kick off and become really lucrative in the near future. But this is our entrance into the 8K space. So everything that we've talked about up until now has been a 4K LED TV set. So now we're talking about the next gen of 8K sets, or the next gen of technology out there for flat panels. So as I mentioned, X1 Ultimate processing is king. Z8H gets the X1 Ultimate processor, puffs his chest out really big when you start talking about him. We use the X1 Ultimate for a technique in our 8K sets called 8K X Reality Pro, where we're talking about that processing is king, and we've got to have intelligence built into the display to be able to take these lower quality input signals and render them in 8K. And if we do some quick math here, from HD at 2.2 million pixels to 8K at 33 million pixels, we'll say that's a pretty significant difference in pixel density. So we got to have some significant intelligence built into the display to be able to render those images properly. And again, we have that database of 8K images that we've been building for a while now that the TV uses to reference to properly render those lower quality input signals on the screen. 8K Extended Dynamic Range Pro, which again is Sony speak for full array local dimming. And in this case, it's not backlight master drive, so it's not the same as Master Series or Z9G. However, this is really a strong backlighting technology. And when I get asked about, again, TVs in high ambient light environments, 8K sets should potentially be on your selling or shopping list. The reason I say that is above and beyond, beautiful picture quality, obviously the nod to next gen, technology with 8K, but high ambient light environments, 8K sets are going to be some of the brightest that we have in our lineup because the pixel density is so high. Again, I just mentioned it, 33 million pixels. You got to have a really strong backlight to get the color and the light out onto the screen. So you need a really bright TV for a bright environment. 8K sets should also be on your selling and your shopping list. So of course we get into HDMI 2.1 support. This is a next gen TV. We're going to have some support for HDMI 2.1. In this particular case, 4K 120, 8K 60p, all available through HDMI 4 on the TV sets, and support for enhanced audio return channel in the sound front. So no VRR, no ALLM and these on this particular model, but honestly, we're going to have game mode. We're going to have those other things. So you're already gaming in 8K. I think there's a lot of benefits and a lot of capabilities for gamers if customers are gamers that are using this TV set. So 8K sets have TV center speaker mode. So A9G, Z9G, and the new Z8H all have this capability. And I always say this in my trainings, we're not trying to steal your center channel business by any stretch of the imagination. What we are trying to do is give you guys options to be able to attach surround sound to your flat panels. So maybe in the example here, customer would love to have surround sound, but the packaging in the room just doesn't work for center channel. You can't mount the speaker below the TV. One of the people in the house just doesn't want to be able to see any speakers, whatever the rationale is. With our 8K sets and also A9G OLED Master Series, you can actually use the audio system in the TV as the center channel speaker. Basically wire up the TV just like it's a speaker from the output of your amplifier. It'll take that input signal, throw the voltage over the side, and take the audio signal and amplify it, amplify the speakers with its own power, and again, in essence, become a center channel speaker. So maybe a great way to get some additional attachment to your flat panel display, or maybe to help you out in a packaging challenge. Hey, you know what, we can just use the audio and the TV to be a center channel and go from there. So great feature, great capability to have built in, and again, available only on Z9G, Z8H, and A9G Master Series OLED. New 8K set gets the backlit remote, of course, so if you're fumbling around in the dark, you'll be able to find it. But really the more important slide here is the one Slate Design, the change in the cosmetics of Z8H versus Z9G. If anybody has seen a Z9G or seen the Master Series 8K set, it's a beefy boy, right? It's a thick boy, I think is what some people would call it. It's about 5.5 inches deep. It's a no compromises design. It's got the best backlighting system in it, best audio system in it, and they put a box around all of that. So Z8H is not that TV set. So Z8H is really more design focused, more approachable, still got great picture quality, great audio, just not a no compromises design. Okay. So great looking set from the front, of course, profile, the business end of things, all the connectivity and the stuff you'd expect to find. And now we move from LED world into OLED world. This is the kids' playroom with the spooky trees outside, no toys, just dark marble everywhere, but they do have a great TV set to watch TV on, and once in a while let them game. But spooky trees is really the focus of this particular slide. X1 Ultimate is the chipset that powers A8H, so big step up in processing power versus A8G. When we talk about the changes, we really step up to similar features to what the A9G Master Series has. So if you see A8H and A9G on paper, they really are identical feature-wise. It's really the cosmetics, some of the build quality, and the audio capability that separates A8H from A9G. X-motion clarity, so motion compensation advancement makes its way to OLED. So versus what we do with LED with zone control boosting, we use a similar technique which is basically just done by line control boosting. And in essence, the end result is the same: brighter, more blur-free motion. Again, that's totally customizable for you, for your end user, to their preference. And I kind of mentioned this before, but slim, intelligent design. So A8H cosmetically varies pretty significantly a little bit, I would say, from A9G. Just the build out, the materials, that sort of stuff, just aren't on Master Series level. Certainly not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just there is a difference between Master Series and A8H. Great looking TV set from the front, profile, and again, all the connectivity you'd expect to find. I want to point this out. I don't think the rendering here of this particular TV is very fair from firsthand experience with this set, from observing it, in the flesh, if you will. Extremely thin, extremely low overhangs, and a great TV set that you can mount on the wall, of course. And then last but not least is the A9S OLED. So this is a new addition to the Master Series line, so hence the initials A9 over here. So that's going to denote that it is a Master Series TV set. But S really denotes also that it's a smaller screen. So this TV set is really intended to get into some of those placements where customers bought 50-inch TVs in 2004, 2005, until like 2008, 2009, when we started to see, the half sizes, the bigger screen sizes become more readily available. They bought a plasma TV, they put it in a built-in credenza in their bedroom or in their living room, and that's where it's going to stay. So 10, 15 years on, customers not really thinking about, hey, I really want to rip out all of these cabinets. I'd really just like to replace that TV. Options are a little limited, right, in 50-inch screen sizes for a quality TV set. So A9S, 48-inch, gets us into some of those applications, some of that placement. So whether you need a premium TV for a bedroom, or again, to replace some of those aging Pioneer Curos or Panasonic Z50s or whatever they were back in the day, it's time for those TVs to go. Big step up in picture quality, and also will fit into those cabinets, those credenzas. And let's face it, OLED is the most rational, logical replacement for plasma TVs when you talk about black level, viewing angle, and that sort of stuff. So to kind of summarize here, the last piece that we have to talk about in our lineup is the WL855, which is our slim wall bracket that's available and designed by Sony TVs, designed by Sony for Sony TVs. Super easy for me to say that. Last year, it only worked with our OLED models, but for 2020, the chassis have been redesigned of our 4K LED models, as well as both of our OLED models, to be able to work with this bracket. So this is a slim wall bracket, again, designed by Sony, where you would maybe use a swivel bracket or a flat wall bracket. This one allows you to put the TV, the back of the TV, about 1/8 of an inch off of the drywall. So I know a lot of you guys use universal slim brackets, and you have mixed results because the brackets really aren't designed to work with a specific type of TV or specific brand of TV for that matter. So 855 was designed by Sony, built by Sony, and is available from Sony for all of these models that you see listed here. Again, not a bracket that I would use in a high placement because it doesn't have any tilt down, but it does have swivel. So in a place where you'd use a flat wall bracket, sorry, I was just getting a phone call on my iPad while I was presenting to you, so black hole just opened up here. Apologize for that. But again, if you need to be able to access the TV, make a little bit more money on the bracket, you want to have the TV sit as close to the wall as possible, WL855 is the go-to piece. So to summarize here, just to kind of walk you through everything that we've just talked about, and as Gary mentioned, this deck, all the information that I've just talked about will be provided to you through the email here today. And we'll just kind of summarize what we have for our lineup for 2020. So we'll start here again, at the foundation level with the 750H. So again, good basic TV set. One limitation I would say here would be, again, none of the pro features, none of the custom features that we're really talking about in custom install. So good basic package, but really none of the bells and whistles that a lot of our customers are looking for, and probably a lot of integrators are out there are looking for. X800H is really the foundation of what you're going to get in the custom install space and what you get premium feature wise. So same smart Android TV experience as the 8K sets happens or starts in X800 for that matter. Wide color gamut, Dolby Vision, all of the good stuff that we talk about. So really, I would say this is probably the best place to jump off or a starting point when you're talking about pitching TVs to customers. Moving on to X900H, this is the model that is coming in hard right now in inventory, so we're going to see a lot of opportunities for this model. Also, this is that gamer focused piece that I was talking about. Also, this is the TV that will be the foundation of the BZ40 that we'll see later on this year. So for my guys that are doing pro work out there, commercial projects, this will be the foundation for a BZ40. So really strong base level of performance with a lot of features like that we've talked about, all the gaming stuff, as well as support for next gen tuner. However, moving into X950H and really more of the premium segment of our lineup, we move away from some of the gaming features and that sort of stuff, and we really move into hardcore picture quality. So best processor in the game, best viewing angle in the game, best sound, best all of that stuff, best panel in our 4K lineup is going to be X950H. As we move out of 4K LED and into 4K OLED, A9S, A8H are the two new models that are being introduced, so 49, 55, and 65. And then as we move into A9G, the Master Series OLED will not be replaced this year. So we have three flavors of this, 55, 65, and 75. These TV sets, again, similar features as you see across the board here, but Master Series is still Master Series for a reason. You have that center channel audio speaker mode. You've got the Master Series build quality and component selection. And again, you're going to see that $500 or $600 delta between A8H and A9G throughout the year. And if you need that bigger screen size, A9G is the only OLED that we make in bigger than 75 inches. And then last but not least, the kings of TV mountain are going to be Z8H and Z9G. So new models for this year are Z8H in 75 and 85 inches respectively. Again, this is that more aesthetically approachable, design-oriented 8K TV set, lower price point, but still all of the high-end features that you'd expect to find in a next-gen TV, quite frankly. And then last but not least, Z9G in 85 and 98 inches respectively. This guy is the best of the best. Best TV that we have in our lineup, period. So backlight master drive, 8K X1 Ultimate, really, the top of the top for a reason. And when we talk about availability, we talk about exclusivity, this is really the no compromises design. If people say, what's the best one you make? That's my answer every time. Z9G is definitely the best one we make in terms of picture quality, in terms of technology, in terms of feature set. It's got all of those things covered. So this is the point where I get to say questions. I'll look over here at the chat and see if there's anything that's popped up here.
Thanks, Jason. That was awesome. That was a packed hour, buddy. Thank you so much for that lineup. I don't see any questions. I had Brent was asking me to repost the numbers that you had earlier, which I did do. Guys, to give it an open minute here for anybody that has specifics for Jason. But if not, what I'm going to do is just firstly want to say thank you to all the AllNet customers, MRI, Custom Plus, and of course, all of my fellow Volutone dealers. Thank you guys so much. And like I said earlier, man, for Volutone anyway, I've got a ton, like $2 million of inventory hitting my locations right now. So I've got links on the email today to every respective distributor to kick you back and look at inventory and hit your own dealerships there. And we urge you guys to move forward. Also, Jason's starting his sessions tomorrow on the Pro Series. I'll post that today. So
I appreciate that.
Here, really quick, boom, and